good few months ago I did a OK shoot, and it was there where it was drawn to my attention that there was something not quite right with one of my breasts. A fan had actually pointed out from a video clip that they had saw that one of my breasts looked a bit angry and disformed, and because of that I was able to actually be highlighted by this and go to the GP and ask for help, and there I discovered that actually they were capsulated and leaking from the inside. So I'm really grateful for that person pointing that out. When I went to my GP last year and eventually got a bit of an ultrasound of my breast, they said that the fear is that they're leaking and they're showing signs of capsulating, and the mesh that was originally put in 10 years ago has kind of cemented and started to live with my own skin, and so something had to be done to eradicate any further complications. So along the way, after I got pointed out this by the OK fans on the video, I was approached by a company called Sculpt My Body to ask if they could be of help with me, and me knowing that the NHS was backlogged and maybe something like this wasn't seen as an emergency, for me it was something that was, bringing me down. It's been a really traumatic year for us as a family, me through recovery and addictions, and it was just another thing. And so I was given the opportunity to go with Sculpt My Body and get my double mastectomy reconstructed sooner rather than later. The fact that it was pointed out by a fan watching the video from the OK shoot, I just see it as a blessing. I suppose the blessing of media and social media is that somebody who was not related to me, not my friend or my family, somebody else pointed out something that, of course, I had been aware of, but not that breast. It's just amazing how things work, and because of that, I shifted my arse and went to the doctor. So there was many options with what operation I actually went for and how they reconstructed the breasts. But for me, the best scenario was what we went under, which was removing the implant, which needed to be replaced, replacing it with a slightly smaller implant so that we didn't have to put in as much fat from my thighs. So I had fat transference, which meant that they took fat from my thighs to plump up the area of my skin. Since my double mastectomy 10 years ago, all I have is skin and I don't have any cells, because that was to eradicate the risk of breast cancer. So to fill out that area with the small implant underneath the muscle, they had to fill it with something, and they chose the best thing possible, which was my own fat, so that my body doesn't reject it. So coming out of the operation, not only were my breasts reconstructed, I also had to take care of my thighs, which were very painful, but all good. My new breasts are, let's describe it in bullet points, pert, neat, but I'm free of worry. So I'm really pleased with the aesthetic look of it. I actually couldn't be happier. They look better than they did all those 10 years ago. I mean, medicine has evolved so much so. I suppose my thought pattern is that Faith will never have to do what I've gone through, because in 10 years' time, medicine and research would have developed so much she may not have to have a double mastectomy reconstruction to eradicate her risk of the BRCA2 cancer gene. And that was my main focus. But I have to say, aesthetically, as a look, Hugh's very happy. I mean, anybody who goes underneath anaesthetic for surgery, there's always going to be areas where you have to be aware that this could happen, something could potentially happen. And amongst all of the normal things that we're aware of, the recovery, the scars, the healing, not being able to work out for a few weeks or drive or raise up my arms, complications in surgery where the nipple might not take and the blood supply might be lost. I also had to battle the reality of, in addictions, I hadn't ever been addicted to painkillers yet, or to, whatever they give you, morphine yet. And that wasn't a yet I ever wanted to come across, but it was something I had to work on myself leading up to the operation. And thankfully, I'm good. With recovery and sobriety, if it is of doctor's orders, you take what's prescribed. There's no grey area there. What's prescribed from a doctor, you take above all everything else. It's when you then misuse that prescription and you use it for own recreational use that it becomes a problem, and that's not been part of my story. I follow a 12-step program of recovery, and that's how I live my life. I go to meetings, I have a fellowship, I sponsor people, I help people when I can, people help me, and that's what keeps me sober. Every day I wake up and I have a routine now. I love routine. I've always loved a routine, and then I lost it when I, was brought down by addiction. For a few years I lost everything that I was, and now that I've got that back in my life, what keeps me focused? Myself, because if you can't do it for yourself, you can't stay sober. You have to be the priority here, and I keep myself sober because that's the way that I want to live my life, and I've never been as happy, and I've never felt as free. Some people say, do you wish you had done it earlier? And I can't say that, because then, my journey happened for a reason, and what happened had to happen for me to be here like this today. I decided to tell the kids what was going on because, like today, the shoot, for example, it comes out at some point, and I've always been very honest with my kids, and they find out things from their parents first. So this was just another thing that I had to tell them. And also, I was going into hospital. I didn't want them to unnecessarily worry, because in their little minds, the last time when we went to hospital, I went away for 28 days. In the Priory, so it was important that they understood what this process was, and they've been great. In fact, AJ was trying to make me cups of tea with cold water because he's not allowed to use the hot tap. Kids are wonderful, actually, because they do irritate us, don't get me wrong, and they can be really unreasonable and not do what we ask, but when it comes to the crunch, they're there for me, and they looked after me, and they're so gentle around me at the minute, knowing that when he's recovering, they've been amazing. And Hugh, he worked from home for a week just to help me, and that's amazing. At the moment, apart from being really irritated that I can't go to the gym because of the operation, and I'm taking those doctor's orders and taking it easy, and I'm recovering, and because of that, I'm really benefiting from recovery going really, really well. So apart from that, set that aside, I'm feeling really good, really strong, just clear-minded, and focused on the future. We've got a lot of things coming up this year as a family, me and Hugh, with our fitness business, which is going to be launched soon. Lots of gigs with the Girls for Liberty X, and I'm hopefully going to go back to work myself for TV and stage. So it's a really exciting time, and do you know what? 10 months ago, none of this would have been possible.